Hello. Hi, everybody. We have just opened the webinar 1 minute before our scheduled time, but we believe that that's a good way to get everybody getting into the room. So yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be in the globe, because this is a global broadcasted event. So hi everybody. Yeah, feel free if you want to introduce yourself or say something in the window chat that we have in Zoom, and then we can see the kind of participants that we have here today. And in a moment, we'll be introducing the speakers for today's webinar, all about working with celebrities and influencers. Yes, so we have very interesting examples, I think, from the rare disease community. So hopefully many of you have been able to access the e-learning course that we have in the EURORDIS Digital School site, where we have covered the theory of these concepts, and then we'll be looking at some actual examples also with Eva for EURORDIS and Ana Maria for Debra Spain, that they have applied those nice concepts. So yes, it's 2:01. We have so far 50 people, and the number is growing. So I think that we can start at least introducing ourselves a bit. So, well, you can read our names. Alex, probably you have seen me in other webinars from the digital school, working in the Open Academy team for Raquel and Aline and other colleagues, and we're going to go through different pieces of learning. And then Marta, which you also know very well. If you want to continue, Marta, feel free to.
Yeah, no problem. Hi, everyone. This is Marta from Rare Connect, but also working with the digital school team organizing this year's program.
Yeah. We have Gurjit and Elise from Three Monkey Zeno, that you probably remember them from our first webinar that we did. And that was a really nice webinar. I think that was very well received. And yeah, I'm sure that they can introduce themselves better than me. So.
Yeah, hi everyone. It's as mentioned, we're from Three Monkey Zeno, the communications agency. So looking forward to walking you through our approach to working with celebrities today. Thanks everyone.
Okay, so yeah, Gurjit and Elise, they are both working for the same organization, and we have our own Eva, also part of EURORDIS.
Hi everyone, nice to see you. I know many of you, so I'll be talking a little bit today about the work we've done to engage celebrities in Rare Disease Day.
Excellent. And Ana Maria from Debra Spain.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for having me today. I'm so glad to be here. Yes, I'm from Debra, the Butterfly Children's Charity, communication assistant and fundraising assistant.
Excellent. So I think with that, yeah, 2:03, perfect. I think we are ready to go. So Marta, if we start sharing our slides for today, please. Okay, so hopefully everybody can see in the screen. So you have the names, we have already done this round. I know that probably you are going to be asking about the slides and the recording of today's session. I think that most of you should have received an email by now saying that we will do that at the end of today's session. So no worries, you'll have all the materials in order to review them. And yeah, if we can go to the next slide, please. Yes, so a bit of a technical overview of Zoom. If you have been with us in previous webinars, you are probably familiar with this. We are going to be using mainly two features of this webinar Zoom. So we have the Q&A and the chat window. please try to ask your questions in the Q&A section, because in that way we can make sure that we don't forget anything. Once we have a question there, you will be able also to click on the thumbs up icon, and then the questions that they are most popular, we will make sure that at the end of the session we definitely will reply to those. Otherwise, we can gather the rest of the questions and check with our experts and send them to you, send the answers to you via email. And the chat, that I can see that everybody is starting to, you know, introduce themselves, say hello and all that, and interact to each other. So yes, please feel free to do so, to use both, but bear in mind that the Q&A, it's for the questions, not the chat window. Okay. Yeah.
So today we have a busy agenda with 3 presentations, but we'll start with a brief introduction to the EURORDIS Open Academy and the EURORDIS Digital School for those of you who couldn't join us in the 2 previous webinars, where we explain what these initiatives were in more detail. We'll just go briefly over them. After that, we'll do a few polls just to get to know what's your experience, what are your feelings about working with celebrities, so we get to know your opinion. And after that, we'll start with the presentations of 3 Monkeys Zeno, PR and Comms agency from the UK. Then Eva from EURORDIS will continue with explaining the EURORDIS experience. And Ana Maria from Debra Spain will explain the experience of a national organization working with celebrities. And at the end, we'll have plenty of time to answer all your questions. We'll go over them one by one. So if you have questions, you can type them using the Q&A button, and they will be answered at the end. All right. Alex?
Yep. So we're not going to cover too much. We're not going to talk too much about the Open Academy as such, because this is the 3rd webinar for many of you, and you have also, some of you have attended our other schools. But just so you know, the digital school is part of the training offer that we are sharing in EURORDIS Open Academy. We have the very well established summer school, which is all about medicines research and development, and it's been offered for many years, in fact. And then we have the winter school about scientific innovation and translational research, and we also have a specific leadership school. But when you access the website, the Open Academy website, you will find out more about the different schools. But today we are doing the 3rd webinar of this digital school, and at the end of today's session we will just mention that there will be more training and more modules coming up. So you can sign up to, you don't need to be you don't need to be a delegate in the summer school or winter school in order to complete the online courses. So if you want, you can create your account and then enroll in any of the modules that you find interesting, like the ones that we are seeing on the screen. So yeah, totally free to access.
Good. So as Alex mentioned, this is part of the EURORDIS Digital School, and today we finished the 3rd block of the Digital School 2020 program. We started in June with also 3 Monkeys Zeno with a webinar about social media. On July, we did an e-learning course and a webinar about building engaged communities, and now we are focusing this webinar on working with celebrities and influencers. At the beginning of this month, we launched an e-learning course about the same topic. I'm sure that some of you have already completed it, but if you haven't, we'll share the link to the Open Academy and the Digital School on the chat, but we'll send you frequent reminders about that. But we encourage you to take the course. It's very interesting. We've developed it with 3 Monkeys Zeno. It's very complete. And if you have completed it, now is your chance to ask questions. The learning objectives of this e-learning course are to understand the relevance of working with celebrities and influencers. They will give you guidelines on how to work with celebrities that include how to identify, how to contact them, and how to engage with celebrities, as well with influencers. So I'll try to paste the link on the chat now if I have a moment. But yeah, if you have completed the course, we would love you. We would love to know what's your feedback, what you've thought, or what you've learned.
Yeah, so I have just also shared the link on the chat for the e-learning course. But the brains behind this this module are here with us today. So Gergit and Elise. So I think that if you have, for those of you who have completed it or have started but not completed, or you might have any queries, today is a really great opportunity to ask them because we have them here with us. So yes, don't be shy and feel free to ask any questions that you might have to both of them. Okay, so
let's move to the polls then, right?
Yes. So on your screen, you are going to have a little pop-up or window, depending. It depends if you are accessing on your computer or mobile phone. So if you can just please complete this first poll, just to give us an idea, a better understanding of who you are, yes, and how much you know already about this topic that we covered a bit. We covered a bit, quite in detail in the e-learning course. So I'm just going to leave the poll open for 20 seconds. The options, well, the question is, have you completed the e-learning course? So we have A, yes, B, no, I haven't started. Sorry, no, I have started it, but not completed yet. And C, I'm not enrolled yet. So, okay, let's see what everybody's saying so far. Let's share the results with everybody. Okay, well, it seems that 47% of you have not enrolled yet, which is okay, because then this webinar will be a nice appetizer, let's call it. I don't know how you say it in English, to want to learn more about the theory and then go to the online site to learn more about it. Okay, let's share. Let's launch the other polls that we have on screen. So as you can probably read, we have two questions. The first one is, does your organization have experience with celebrities and influencers? So if you have an experience, if your organization has an experience working with them, A, yes, B, no. Maybe there are more details about it. Maybe it's not a yes or no answer, but I think probably this one, yes, it is. And for those who voted yes, the second part is, how was your experience working with them, working with those celebrities, influencers? We have a few adjectives. So we have positive, enriching, difficult, disappointing, and unsuccessful. Those are just a few words that we put out there, but if you want to describe it with your own words in the comments, in the chat, that's also fine. And then we will make sure that we read them and then share that with everybody, because maybe those 5 adjectives, they don't capture fully how was your experience with them. Okay, so let me stop the poll in 20 seconds, and then we can have a look all together at the results. Okay, so let's see. Yes, so most of you, almost 70% of you, has got some experience working with celebrities or influencers. And it seems that, unfortunately, those of you with that experience found the process unsuccessful, which is fine, because that's why we are here today. So hopefully with the tips and recommendations from our experts, and also viewing and knowing more about the successful examples from Eva and Ana Maria as well, we will be able to help you with future campaigns that you might want to launch working with those celebrities or influencers. Okay. Yeah, and thank you everybody who is also answering on the chat. Yeah, so we also keep that in mind. Cool.
Great. I'll start the presentation.
Yes, please, Gerrit.
Okay, fantastic. So yeah, we just wanted to say thank you again for joining the session today. We hope you find it helpful and educational. And as Alex and Marta have mentioned, what this presentation really does is kind of give you an overview of what to expect from the e-course when it comes to how not-for-profit and advocacy organisations can engage and work with celebrities. So in terms of what Elise and I are going to go through during this presentation, we'll kind of go through what the relevance is of working with celebrities, like how can it support your organizations, as well as guidance on how you can work with them. So everything from how you can identify them through to reaching out to them and then working with them as well once they're on board. So I think just to kick off with, I think if you're working with or planning to work with a celebrity, I think it's really important to firstly agree the objectives, like why are you working with the celebrity and how is it going to help achieve your goals for that campaign or the work that you're going to be doing. And I think there's different objectives for working with celebrities, and here is just an overview of how you can do that and how it can meet your organization goals. So for example, it can help to drive understanding and advocacy for condition and disease awareness, for example. They can help to and secure media coverage and drive awareness of your messaging. They can also help to lobby industry and governments for your cause, as well as allowing you to reach and access new audiences, so gaining new followers and supporters as well. And I think finally, they can play a really big role in fundraising efforts for your group as well. So I think in terms of, you know, the role of celebrity partnerships is that they can help to elevate your patient voices. And I think given the unprecedented times that we're living at the moment, the impact of COVID-19 on the patient community, I think that's you know, really coming through in a lot of the impact that we're seeing on organizations and patients. They can also help you to reach new people, but what this has to be done is it has to be done well, and any celebrity that you're engaging with, they need to be the right fit and also authentic. So what I mean by that is that they need to understand and support your cause. They also need to align on your values as an organization and what you're looking to achieve. And then finally, ideally, if possible, have a personal connection, either directly or through a loved one to your cause and what you're trying to do as well.
So why is working with celebrities and influencers so important? And Gurjit touched on a number of these points, but the importance is really measured in the capacity to not only reach, but engage and influence those people. So we work with influencers across a range of clients, kind of consumer facing, but also in the healthcare space. And whilst we absolutely look to see their relevance piece, you know, their kind of alignment with the organisation or charity, there are other considerations as well. So that being the kind of the reach, the capacity they have to get the information in front of eyes. That's both online, so the likes of social channels, looking at their followers or subscribers, as well as offline as well. Other than that, things such as engagement, so how involved they are with those certain topics as well, really helps us understand, you know, if they do have a kind of a vital role in a campaign or bringing awareness to something,
how much their content will engage the community. You know, if they were to share a piece of content on Instagram or YouTube, will that really encourage the community to get involved, and what will that bring back to you as an organization? The authority and the influence piece, again, Gerge just mentioned, but you know, it's really important that they have that voice amongst the community, but also their peers, that, you know, others will follow them and will listen as well. So when you onboard them and you work with them for your organization, you know that people will sit up and listen. They have that empathy piece, again, looking at the relevance. You know, ideally we want to be talking to influencers and celebrities who, you know, either suffer from the condition themselves or have someone close to them who understand it, you know, and can kind of really help bring that experience to life, to kind of connect with the audience. And then the visibility, so how willing are they to work with the charity and organization? And there's a lot of considerations there to kind of take on board with that. So we have kind of three kind of examples here, quite, you know, top tier, well known. I'm sure you're familiar with these, of kind of celebrity endorsements, but how, you know, organizations have worked with celebrities and influencers to kind of bring these conditions to life. So we're going to play just a couple of minutes of the Michael Bublé example, and I'm sure you're all familiar with the carpool karaoke phenomenon that's taken across America. But what Stand Up for Cancer did is they took a really well-known established celebrity like Michael Bublé and put him in an environment where he was relaxed and could engage with a kind of really wide, broad audience. But within that kind of context of the conversation, he actually touched on the cancer his son had been diagnosed with. So, you know, we're looking at a much broader campaign to engage and enrich a wider audience, but using the opportunity to really educate and focus attention on a cause. Just bear with us whilst we jump online and find the right video. But the other videos will be available through links in the e-course as well. So do have a look at those. So that's just an example. And as I said, I appreciate it's a very kind of high profile example, but you know, thinking around the kind of the context of sharing your message to engage that wider audience is important. But as mentioned, the links are available in the e-course for you to kind of have a look through in your own time. And then just jumping back to the presentation, thank you, Gurjit. So on the next slide, just a kind of a small approach around the kind of guidance on recruiting these celebrities. And as mentioned, we do a lot of this at Three Monkeys, and I appreciate this is a kind of whistle-stop tour, if you will, about how best to do it. So any questions do come back to us, and we can kind of fill in any kind of gaps or answer any questions. But first and foremost, agreeing those goals, so aligning on the objectives of that celebrity endorsements. Fortunately, you know, well, ideally, you will identify someone who is willing to work with you or wanting to work with you for, you know, on a free basis, just for kind of they want to get behind the course and support as well. But of course, that's not always going to be the case. So working with them to understand exactly what you both want to achieve out of this partnership, and it is very much that. Researching the kind of internal alignment, so ensuring you're doing that research up front and developing a shortlist that fits that campaign. So, you know, whether or not it's someone who, like I said, has that kind of empathetic connection to the cause or condition, or whether or not it's someone who you feel is just right for that message, but ensuring that they truly align with your organization and the messages you want to communicate. And then outreaching, so coordinating the kind of approach with that chosen celebrity. So discussing how you would like to work with a celebrity and preparing the summary of the campaign and ask as well. So really think about this as a, you know, I mentioned a partnership, but kind of a collaboration, you know, have a look, set out those objectives and priorities first and foremost, and try and establish the best ways of working for both of you to kind of bring it to life. And then finally, kind of do that through the agreement and contract. And it's always important to have a contract. It doesn't have to be, you know, a 100-page document, but it should be there to outline exactly what the celebrity is there to do to support you, and in return, you know, what you can do with them as well. As I said, it is very much a kind of collaboration piece, and that's how you're going to get the best content for them if they truly believe in something. And from our experience, once you've identified the right person, they will be on board to support you. And that way you can get a lot more from them, and in turn not only get potentially, you know, more content from them, but actually much more valuable content, because, you know, not only are they spreading the word and supporting you, but the content and messages are so enriched and so passionate, that conversion and that awareness will build. So yeah, so to just make sure you progress that partnership, ensuring everyone is aligned first and foremost, and you're working together to understand that.
Sorry, moved too quickly there. So I think as a kind of, you know, once you've identified the celebrity, I guess there's lots of different ways in which you can work with them. And we've got here just a number of different opportunities. And I think if we kick off first with event appearances, I guess that the thing to flag here is that this, given COVID-19, I think in-person events are going to be quite tricky at the moment. But what you can do is innovate around this. So explore other ways that you can do events in a virtual format, whether that's a webinar event that you hold, it could be a live performance, or it could be a panel discussion, for example. But I guess if you go down this route for a virtual event or an event in the future, you need to create a story around what this event is going to be, what the opportunity is, who's going to be there, and what the theme is going to be for the event. And there's different ways in which you can get the celebrity involved in an event. They could either you know, share their perspectives on the theme of the event. For example, you know, what are the kind of unmet needs and challenges, and what does the future look like for care? And if they're a celebrity that has been affected by the condition, then they can share a patient perspective and share their personal experience as well. Or they could come in and do a guest speech, for example, if you've got a broader event planned. I think secondly as well, social media as well. And I think now more than ever, that's going to be a really good channel in terms of reaching different audiences on different channels. And whether that's going to be to support an awareness day or a week that you're hosting as an organization, or it could actually be a social media movement that you want to create, and the celebrity is supporting and amplifying your messages as well. So for example, you know, if you want to do a campaign which is all around you know, getting patients to go in and see their doctor and not waiting, and getting screened or checked, then that could be a really nice campaign that could amplify across different audiences as well. And I think what's key is if you do any form of social media campaigns, and having a really clear call to action is going to be key. And there's ways that the celebrity can get involved. For example, they could you know, create a social media post, or they could develop a video. So develop a video and post on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, for example, kind of highlighting their support and aligning with your messages and call to action as well. And I think finally, they'll be really great for getting involved in media interviews. So, you know, I think ways in which we can do that is, for example, if you're looking at doing a case study or a feature on a condition or a campaign, then that's where they can offer that voice and perspective on how either they've been affected or how someone close to them has been affected as well. But I think key to all of these, you know, this is just a kind of a flavor of different ways in which you can work with celebrities. But I think you really need to firstly understand who your audiences are and where, and the best ways to reach them. And then once you've identified that, you can explore, well, who is the best celebrity that can support your campaign? So I think when used in the right way, celebrities are a great way to talk about the work that you're doing in organisation, the value it brings to your community, as long as they're used in the right way and for the right reasons. And I think we did want to highlight that they're still normal people as well. And I think it's just to highlight that be prepared for working with them. They're under the public spotlight a lot, and that means a lot of probing into their personal life, for example, and a lot of focus on that. So and I think what this could mean is that if there is unforeseen circumstances where they've got a negative event that's happening in their personal life, then that could mean you could potentially be asked questions on why you're being associated together and working together. So I think this isn't always the case, but it's just to really highlight that just be prepared, and also have PR and issues management support in place to manage any unforeseen circumstances, although we hope that wouldn't happen, but it's good to be prepared. And I think finally, as Elise touched on earlier, once you've got a celebrity on board and agreed on how you want to work with them, then we recommend definitely having an agreement in place with the celebrity talent. And on here is quite a detailed overview in terms of how you can what to include in those agreements, and you can also find these in the e-course. But essentially, you want to be really clear in terms of what are the services that they're going to be providing, how long you're going to be working with them, so what's the time period, and also kind of being aligned on what's the grants of rights and approvals of campaign content, because quite often if you're launching a piece of content for the campaign period, you need to explore, well, actually, if you want to use that again after that term, what does that mean for how you can use it and when? And the same applies to social media content, and I guess also just being mindful of, are they working on any other competing campaigns or priorities, or other campaigns that you feel that aren't going to be kind of appropriately associated with what you're doing as an organization. I think also just be really clear in terms of the regions that they're going to be supporting. So for example, is it going to be a campaign that they're supporting on just in your country, or is this going to extend to Europe, for example, or even globally? So just making sure that you've got those and have those discussions in place right from the outset. And I think finally, it's just being really clear in terms of termination and cancellation policies, as well as payment terms. And I think finally, just to nod, is that I think this has come up on campaigns that a few of you have worked on, was just guidance around working with a celebrity or someone from royalty, for example. We'd recommend always speaking to their agent or manager first, and normally that's quite a good way to then start the conversation on how and why you want to work with this celebrity and what they're going to bring to your organization. I think also, again, if you're looking to work with a historical celebrity, for example, you want to use an image, then again you need to we recommend getting permission from someone who's looking after their affairs, and in these occasions we recommend exploring legal advice as well, just to be clear, because it's sometimes a bit of a grey area. So I think that's it from us. I think this gives you a very brief summary of what to expect from the course, but hope you found it helpful, and we can answer questions later. But also the e-course definitely goes into a lot more in-depth analysis of this course, as well as we've got questions throughout the course as well, just to help kind of test your knowledge and look at what you've learned and what to do next.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Gerrit. Annelies. So I think that we are starting to have some questions, but if it's okay with everybody, we will answer those at the end of the session, so that way we can keep going with the next of the speakers. So, but thanks to all of you who are commenting on the chat, and you are starting to ask questions in the Q&A window. So yes, as explained, if you want, you can click on the thumbs up, and then that will change the priority of the questions. And yes, so I think that with that, we can move to our next speaker, Eva. So Eva, whenever you want, please.
Great, thank you. I'll just share my screen. So I hope to perhaps answer a couple of the questions that have come up in the chat, and if not, I know we'll move to those at the end. So what I'd like to do is just really touch on a couple of the things that Three Monkeys have discussed, and tell you a bit about our experience through Rare Disease Day last year. I think it was very interesting to see the results to that poll, that quite a lot of you have interacted or tried to interact with celebrities. Some of you have been successful, and some of you haven't. So I'm here to say that you're not alone. It's not always an easy process, and that's what I'm going to talk a little bit about today. So just to start off, I thought I would mention what types of celebrities you can be reaching out to. So you have, you know, your A-list, your big movie stars, your big sports stars. They're likely to have a huge reach. They're likely to be perhaps already supporting other charities. And then you also can look at those influences, which is obviously very relevant to this training as being part of the EURORDIS Digital School, that are really focused on being very present on social media. So there's a kind of a division in two categories here. We have what's called an influencer, so they may have, or they would have more than 100,000 followers online, or a micro-influencer, where they would have less than 100,000 followers online. So the reason I mentioned that is that we have, I think it's important knowing that a lot of you will have limited time, limited budgets, and of course, the dream is to get somebody with 2 million followers to post about your event or your cause, but often those people can be a bit harder to access, is what we found. So now I'm talking really about our experience. And please do share in the chat if you have other positive or negative experiences to share as well, because I think there's a lot that we can learn from you as well. So those people with the huge followings online may be quite hard to reach, and that's when micro-influencers can really be useful to target, because while they may have a smaller following, well, 100,000 followers for some of us is still huge, and that can help us get a message out there, and they may be easier to reach as well. So it may be good to think about in your strategy whether it's better to target, let's say, 10 micro-influencers from which you might get 2 successes, and that might actually be more successful for you than spending time trying to reach whoever the biggest celebrity is in your country. And I also just included in the list here because this was very relevant for Rare Disease Day, and I imagine would be very relevant for a lot of you. I know that a lot of your work, you'll be interacting with the ministries of health, or maybe the prime minister in your country, and so on. So often they have a very big following online as well. So it's worth remembering that they are celebrities as well, and that perhaps you, for example, might already have links with them through a lot of the advocacy work you're doing. I know that's true for a lot of the national alliances that we work with. So that may be a good foot in the door. You may already have, for example, the contact details of their communications manager, their PR team. So it may be an easier route to approach as well to have some success there. So just to mention that as a starting point. So I'm going to touch a bit on what Three Monkeys did as well, but adding a few mentions, a few aspects. So as you said, do their values and image align with your organization? I think this is really important, and to preempt the problems that you mentioned, Gurjit, that could come with working with certain celebrities. You know, you want somebody that you're going to be proud to speak on behalf of you, and somebody who's going to be able to explain the issues that your community and your patients are facing. So I think it's worth, we went through that process when we had our kind of shortlist. There were a couple of people and we said, you know what, maybe they're not a great fit with our cause and with Rare Disease Day. So to go through that process as well. Again, as you said before, so what really is your goal, so that you can come up with a strategy and be very targeted in what you're doing. In the context of Rare Disease Day, we were really looking to, well, grow our reach online, and specifically through our Instagram account, because we launched the new Rare Disease Day Instagram account 2 years ago. So we wanted to grow the following there. So we were looking for Instagram influence as well. And obviously, like you said, in the context of COVID, you know, there's a whole new range of opportunities to get celebrities involved through online events, and perhaps that's making their life easier because they don't have to travel somewhere, and it fits better with their schedule. So to think about those possibilities is something that is obviously new for all of us. One of the questions I saw coming through there about budget, I think that's a really important thing to discuss internally within your team. So two aspects. First of all, in terms of HR, how much time are you willing to spend on this? Is it a strategic priority for you? Is it the core of your, for example, campaign? Or is it something that you're going to try and that you accept that if you don't get a result, it's not the end of the world, but you're going to learn from the experience? You know, assess that, and then consider, do you have budget to put behind it? You might need, do you want to pay the celebrity? We took the decision that no, so that was important for us. But even if you don't pay them, you might need to pay for their travel, for example, to get to an event. So thinking that through as well can be important in the long term, and making sure that your team internally and management is aligned on that, so that you don't get any kind of surprises along the way. And just, I put a tip here because this definitely paid off for us. I'm going to show you some examples in a minute, and at the time that we reached out to those micro-influencers, we had a member of the team who was super Instagram savvy, and you know, we had a strategy, we had our pitch developed, we had our list that we were going to, and then they were able to go off and use Instagram in a way that is completely normal to them because they do it every day to contact those people. So some of you, I'm guessing, have somebody who's brilliant on social media. Some of you maybe don't. So maybe think about that. Is there somebody that's not in your immediate team that you would normally work with, that's maybe in your bigger team, but actually, you know, they're an Instagram whiz, you know? And in that case, think to ask for their advice and get their suggestions, because having that internal resources can always be very useful. And also don't hesitate, you know, to contact the EURORDIS team if you just need some starting points or some advice as well. So as we talked about before, you know, building that pitch for them. So making sure you know their personal story, which, as you all know just as well, if not better than me, often we have sad stories in our community, and it's being sensitive to that and building your pitch or your ask around that, and making sure you know the background well. But you don't need me to tell you that, you know that better than I do. You spoke before about, Gurjit, about that personal connection. Now, I wanted to mention something here that we kind of evolved a bit on this, because the immediate thing to think is, let's get somebody with a personal link to a rare disease. Well, fantastic if you can, but as we know, that's not always the easiest thing to do with rare diseases. So we kind of evolved on that and went from, okay, maybe they don't have a direct link to a rare disease, but maybe we just have seen that they're a very compassionate person. Maybe they've had a link to, or they've in the past already worked, for example, with a cancer organization, even though it might not have been a rare cancer. And my point is to not get stuck on them having to have that specific link to the rare disease community, but more focusing on, do you think they would be compassionate and interested in working with you? And again, I'll mention afterwards that personal connection, like you said. If there's any way you can find those links, that's definitely the best way to get your foot in the door. I know that you all have fantastic and inspiring patient stories. So to make sure to include those in your pitch. We have been to meetings and we've shared, for example, some of you may have seen the Rare Disease Day videos. So we share those in meetings. We bring an iPad with us to play those, because that's something that is a bit more interactive and can show the real reason that we exist, or Rare Disease Day exists, and the same for your organisation. And do consider it from their side as well. You know, why would they want to get involved? So it's likely that they are a compassionate person, and that's going to be their first reason. But also, what can you give them? Is it going to be that you're going to promote them via your social media channels? Well, if you don't have a very high following, maybe that's not as big a sale. So to kind of build that case out as well and think why they might want to be involved. Perhaps it's not important to them to be shared on your social media, because actually they have 1 million followers. It's more about them for building this image that they're working with a charity or a patient organisation. Something that we learn, I think, again, I'm talking about lessons that we've learned, is about the ask, is what you're asking them to do. So you mentioned already, you may be asking them to post on social media, speak at an event, but just make it simple. We've had advice that, you know, make the first ask simple, make it easy for them to say yes to that, and then nurture that relationship, because it might grow into something. And of course, the end goal is that it grows into a long-term relationship, is that you put a lot of energy into that relationship. But in first instance, these celebrities are likely to be very busy. They're likely to have their own families. And so making it as easy as possible for them to say yes, we found can be very useful. I put a photo of Natalie Portman there. That was an example of when we had a video at one of our events. So it wasn't a video we were using publicly on social media, but we showed it at an event, and it just brought a real sense of prestige to the event, and people in the room, you could tell, really enjoyed it. So if there's any, it was a bit less formal, the video, I would say. It was made just for that evening. So that worked very well as well. Another question that came, I saw already, but perhaps Three Monkeys and Anna Maria can talk about their experience as well, but how to contact. So in a lot of cases, but particularly for A-list celebrities, you really need to be going through their agent. So how do you find their agent? It might be good old Google research, or it might be finding in your country the celebrity agent directory. They exist, I know, in the UK, and I'm guessing they exist in a lot of other countries. And that's where you will find the contact details to contact the agent of that celebrity. Sometimes there's a fee for those you have to pay. I couldn't say in all of your countries. Some of you maybe can share in the chat if you've had experience of that. Similarly, agencies do exist for booking celebrities. So if you're running a big event, they might help you to book, for example, they might promise one big celebrity and there'd be a huge list. We've never done that, but I know that exists. So it's something to perhaps investigate if your main goal is to get a celebrity to come to an event. Similarly, celebrity consultants exist, and they may know celebrities already. They may know what's going on in your country very well, so to consider. But again, that, like you were asking earlier, that comes with a budget normally, so that may not be an option if there's not a huge budget behind your efforts. Then for micro-influencers, so as I mentioned, this is where we've had success, is messaging them on social media. So by nature, either their full-time career or their part-time career is to be an influencer on social media. And so they're going to be on their Instagram all day, every day, and they will normally leave open the messaging option. And so that's where we had success. We messaged people privately on Instagram. You could also be following them, you could be liking them, you could be responding to their posts, building up that rapport online as well. So that's why you really want somebody who's very social media savvy. We also had, which was quite useful for us, we had one letter, like a template letter, where we had the pitch, if you like, detailed. So it was kind of one page letter, and then the second page was about Rare Disease Day. So I think that's a useful thing to do internally, because then you can, you can sign off on that. Whoever needs to validate it can, it's done, and then it's kind of your basis for any other messaging or communication that you're doing, or emailing that you're doing. So just to talk about the challenges, as I mentioned, it's not an easy process, and just to give you an idea, I can't mention names, but we have had last year, or the year before, sorry, we had at least 4 solid leads with quite big celebrities, and those didn't necessarily work out for the reasons listed here. So the reason I want to say this is you can do everything right, and sometimes it's out of your control. So we had somebody who, because of a new film they were filming, wouldn't have been available at the right time. They were doing promotional work, so unfortunately the timing didn't work out. So I think that's why it's important to make clear up front what your expectation is in terms of timing. Again, somebody who wasn't available because they had family commitments, and in fact were also already supporting other causes. So it's maybe worth checking that as part of your research, because if you see, perhaps, I don't know, 3 Monkeys could talk about this, they would have more experience, but if somebody, I don't know, is already working with 3 other charities, maybe they're not going to have the capacity to be working with your patient organisation. And you may also come across cases where if they are involved in a sponsorship partnership that is quite strict, that they might not be able to get out of that and do things with you. So that was something that happened to us once as well. So just to consider all of these things. So I think that's why it's important to have that discussion internally. What's the goal? Are you going for the big A-list celebrities? Are you going for micro-influencers? And see from that what you think you're willing to invest and what your next steps will be. And again, just once you've connected with that celebrity, nurture that relationship. But also I think it's important to have that clear communication with them. So maybe assign one person on the team to be the contact point with them, or it could be 2 people, but just consider that if your team is 6 people, that you shouldn't all be, emailing them, because it could be quite confusing for them. I just wanted to mention here, some of you may have seen over the years, we worked with a lot with Sean Hepburn-Ferrer, who has been really an excellent supporter and still is a great supporter of our work at EURORDIS. And he was the Rare Disease Day ambassador, and he was very present at a lot of our events, particularly. And we did that with him. We tried to keep the communication very clear, and he knew very well several members of our team, and we built that relationship there. So he's been a great presence at many of our events, and what he does so brilliantly is what you were speaking about before, in speaking about the cause and the reality of living with a rare disease, because he experienced it because his mother, Audrey Hepburn, passed away from a rare form of cancer. So he is very perfect example of somebody who's excellent at representing the cause and speaking very eloquently about what the reality is for our community, so something to consider. Then I just included, so a couple of the examples of what we created was what we called the Rare Disease Day Online Ambassadors. Sorry, that moves on its own. And so, for example, we had Jill Vedder, who's the wife of Bahljam frontman Eddie Vedder. So she's a micro-influencer, that 98k followers, and she posted on Instagram on Rare Disease Day. She already had a link through the EB Alliance. There may be somebody online who knows her better than I do. But we reached out to them as well, and because they already had that link with an EB Alliance, she was very happy to post. Similarly, we also had, we reached out to Tummy and Gummy, who are two cats with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and they were very happy to become online ambassadors for Rare Disease Day and post on Rare Disease Day as well. You can see there that got 9,000 likes. So this is how, through micro influencers, you build up a reach as well. Similarly, Sarah Gertz, who is a body positive model, again, Ehlers-Danlos actually, and sorry, I've got automatic slide moving there. And again, she posted, and the important thing there, which is something we'll learn for the year coming, is that Rare Disease Day official, our Instagram account was tagged. So after she posted that, we saw an increase in the followers we had on our Instagram account. So that was very important. And also Evie Oddly, who was a winner of RuPaul's Drag Race, a show that many of you may know, and also posted on and got 7,000 or nearly 7,500 likes as well. There you can see using an image that we had sent in advance. So that's another thing you can do, is when you send, if you do establish email contact, you can send them content that they might want to use. Most of them want to share their own images, we've noticed, but there's no harm sending them some easy visuals to share as well, which you've probably got anyway, I would imagine. So, and just a screenshot, as I mentioned before, of some of the policymakers that we work with. So this is very much not just EURORDIS. So some of you online may have been involved in getting these people to tweet as well. But like I said, all of these politicians have a good following online, and so it's worth, we engage a lot with them for Rare Disease Day directly through EURORDIS, or also through the national alliances. And obviously this is helping to create a buzz around Rare Disease Day as well. So something to perhaps consider at your level as well. And of course, they want to be looking to support their constituents and engaging with their constituents. So any opportunity you can give them to easily get involved in something normally pays off. But you probably know that already and do that already, I would imagine. And that's it from me. So thank you very much. I'll have a look now back through the questions.
Thank you, Eva. Very, very interesting. We'll move to Ana Maria with the third and last presentation of today's webinar.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
we can. Thanks, Ana Maria.
Well, thanks first of all to all of you for having me today, and to EURORDIS for inviting us. My name is Anna, and I am a communication and fundraising assistant at Debra Spain, the Butterfly Children Charity. I'm not sure if all of you have heard before about EB or butterfly skin, but we are a rare condition, of course, rare disease. People affected by this condition have a extremely fragile skin, similar to a butterfly wing. That's why we call them butterfly children or butterfly children families. In the last 2 years, we have been working with celebrities. We call them our ambassadors. We wanted to bring to you today some of the examples that we have made in the last few years. So I would like to show you a little bit of the video of the Untouchables. In Spain, this is the condition, because it's a rare condition. We have the problem that, of course, many people don't know about it. Actually, even the doctors and healthcare professionals, they don't know about it. So through these videos and through these campaigns, we were able to raise awareness of the condition. So let me show you a little bit of this video. It's a bit long, so you can watch it the whole thing at our channel of YouTube called Piel de Mariposa. It's in Spanish, butterfly skin. So let's watch at least the beginning. I hope you like it.
No sé, pero... ¿Qué? ¿Este suspiro qué significa?
Can you hear me?
¿Qué es? Un momentito.
Ay.
Ay, mira. Quitamos esto.
Hoy seguimos investigando el caso de los intocables. Poco ha trascendido sobre estas personas cuya piel es tan frágil como las alas de una mariposa.
Y los intocables. Suena como a nombre de superhéroes. Como Los Increíbles.
Los Intocables, ¿esa no es una película francesa de un inmigrante y un tetrapléjico?
Che, tengo entendido que los Intocables son una casta de la India.
Entonces, ¿en qué quedamos? ¿Son de la India o son superhéroes?
Yo he visto un intocable. Me pareció que llevaba el cuerpo vendado. ¿Será contagioso?
¿Te duele?
Última hora. La AIS, Asociación por la Integración de Superhéroes y Superheroínas, ha emitido un comunicado en el que desmiente la existencia de una liga con el nombre de los Intocables y explica que esta leyenda urbana tiene su origen en la piel de mariposa, una enfermedad aún sin cura.
Es que siempre nos pasa lo mismo. Y la gente hace suposiciones absurdas. Que es un pájaro, es un avión. No, que no lo ves por ti mismo, que es un chaval que está volando con una capa roja. Es que es de sentido común un poco, ¿verdad? Es igual que ahora esto de los intocables. No hay intocables, no son intocables, no. Son personas con piel de mariposa y esto los convierte en superhéroes o superheroínas, igual que nosotros y nosotras. Ya está, punto. No hace falta ser de la NASA tampoco.
Las proteínas que están en la piel, que proporcionan la resistencia a los golpes y roces, no funcionan correctamente. Esto provoca que la piel se rompa y que continuamente aparezcan heridas y ampollas. Esta enfermedad es genética y no se descubre hasta el momento del parto.
Well, this is part of the video. As you have seen, the message we wanted to communicate was that for us, I guess that the same as for all of you at your entities and charities, our families are superheroes. No, they fight every day with this rare condition. And for the people that don't know still the disease, they see these children and families like untouchables. No, they have fragile skin, they are weird, and they don't approach to them. So we wanted to communicate the opposite, like they are not untouchables. And this is the second video that well, actually this was the first one. This one was launched 2 years ago. And we call it I Have Undressed, because with this condition, with EB, epidermolysis bullosa, people affected have to wear bandages all over their bodies. They have like open wounds continuously, so we call it I Have Undressed.
Yo vendo mi cuerpo.
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 Yo vendo mi cuerpo por la piel de mariposa.
Una enfermedad rara que provoca que la piel
sea tan frágil
como las alas de una mariposa.
Yo vendo mi cuerpo para que el mundo conozca la piel de mariposa.
Yo vendo mi cuerpo porque conviven con heridas abiertas cada día.
Yo vendo mi cuerpo. Yo vendo mi cuerpo. Yo vendo mi cuerpo.
Yo vendo mi cuerpo porque a día de hoy la piel de mariposa no tiene cura.
1 de cada 227 personas es portadora de la enfermedad sin saberlo.
Esta enfermedad solo se descubre tras dar a luz.
Yo vendo mi cuerpo. Yo vendo mi cuerpo.
Yo vendo mi cuerpo. Yo vendo mi cuerpo.
Yo vendo mi cuerpo por todas las madres y padres que tienen que curar a sus hijos cada día.
Esta enfermedad va mucho más allá de la piel.
Yo vendo mi cuerpo porque hay familias que no pueden afrontar el coste del material de cura.
Esta enfermedad no se puede contagiar.
Yo vendo mi cuerpo.
Yo vendo mi cuerpo.
Yo vendo mi cuerpo.
Yo vendo su cuerpo.
Yo vendo mi cuerpo para que cada profesional de la educación y la salud conozca la enfermedad.
Yo vendo mi cuerpo para que puedan hacer realidad sus sueños.
Yo vendo mi cuerpo.
Yo vendo mi cuerpo para que nos pongamos en su piel.
Yo vendo uno de segunda.
Yo vendo mi cuerpo para que ningún niño con piel de mariposa famosa sea expulsado de una piscina por desconocimiento.
Yo vendo mi cuerpo para que las miradas en un autobús no duelan tanto como las propias heridas.
Cada día me cambio de piel y dejo caer.
Yo vendo mi cuerpo por estas guerreras sin escudo.
Por su empeño.
Siéntate conmigo en esta flor. No tengas miedo de mi aleteo, amor. Ese mismo vuela, 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 vuela.
Por su presente.
Por su futuro.
That was a translation in Spanish. Yo vendo mi cuerpo, I have undressed. So there we go, the results. So we wanted to share with you some of the results that we get from those videos. In general, has been a positive and an amazing experience for us, and we would like to repeat it for sure if it's possible for us in the future years coming. For example, we would like to say that we raised an amazing awareness of the condition. We got millions of views at social media, especially through the celebrities' Instagram accounts. So, for example, if we compare our Instagram profile, we have maybe like 16,000 followers. But if we compare it with a celebrity profile account, they might have like millions of fans. So in one click, when they share the video, we get to them, we get to all those people out there. So for us was absolutely amazing. With low cost, spreading the word through social media, and with these celebrities were so much worth it. We also had a significant increase of followers at our social media channels and new collaborators. So even though we try to post continuously and almost every day or every week through our fan page or Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, we grow like maybe 50 people, 50 or 100 of new followers each month. And with these kind of campaigns and with this kind of people helping us, no, like celebrities and influencers, suddenly we grew like thousands of new followers just of a sudden, no? So it was absolutely amazing, and many people starting to contact me with us, asking us, Debra, how can I help you? We watched your videos. I didn't know about the condition before. I didn't know about these children. What can I do? So we get a lot of new supporters. That was great. Apart from social media, we also get so much mass media coverage thanks to the celebrities. So, for example, we appear on the TV and national channels, press, national press, radio. So, for example, for a small charity like ours, to see our video and to see our families appearing in a national TV channel on a prime time, for us was like, wow, unbelievable. No, it was like a dream. Like, wow, look at them, and many people. You know how millions of people watch the national TV channels or read the press media every single day. So for us was absolutely great, and we would want to repeat it if it's possible. Also, I would like to mention that we did these campaigns in with the focus of the EB International Day. So I guess most of the rare diseases have also an international day for them. So I think that's also important because it creates like a frame, no? Where you are not talking about we are talking about our conditions every single day. But apart from the celebrities, I think that will also help us to create all the campaign. What we learned? If other charities or other entities are asking how can we approach or how we did the approach to our celebrities, I would say that like any other thing in life, many things, is all about relations. It's all about people. There is always someone that knows someone. So for example, in our case, we get in contact with these celebrities. All of them did it for free. All of them were volunteers for the campaign. We didn't pay anything to them, to these celebrities. And how we approached them, it was thanks to one of our colleagues. One of our colleagues at the charity, she used to be an actress. So she met some of these influencers and some of these actors and actresses. Once we get to them there, they contacted with other celebrities. So at the end, imagine if we had the contact of 4 or 5 actors and actresses, they get in contact with other people. So at the end, for the first video, I think we had 13 influencers, 13 celebrities, and for the second one, we had 9. And most of the ones that did it for the first time wanted to repeat for the second one. So we are quite happy and proud that they liked the cause, they fall in love with the cause, and they wanted to repeat. So I would like to say that I encourage other entities to ask their database, because we never know who might know a celebrity. So for example, if you have a database of volunteers, collaborators, donors, or your own patients, they might know someone, but you haven't asked them maybe. And I will also add that ideally is that if we work to focus on celebrities or influencers that are similar to the target audience, we would like to increase. So for example, if we are aiming to get new donors or new collaborators, or are we aiming to get new volunteers maybe? Are they female, male? What are their ages? I think that's also important if we try to contact with a celebrity, that I think you mentioned before also that we have the same goals and connections. I think that's important. Knowing the condition. In our case of Debra and Butterfly Children Families, our ambassadors, our actors and actresses, they didn't know about the condition before. They didn't have any familiar relation. They didn't have a daughter or a son or anything like that with the condition. So for them, it was the first time that saw a child with a butterfly skin condition. And I think that was also key, because they were touched by the cause at that moment. We didn't explain, or of course we explained to them the cause, but they didn't read the leaflets, or they met the children in person and they filmed, they record with them. So I think that created a different and unique connection and relation between them. About the message, I wanted to say that I think it's important to make it easy. You also mentioned it before, make it easy and clear, because what we learned also about working with these celebrities is that they have a really busy agenda. There are some days they were like traveling all over the world or filming, in another country. So we try to make it easy for them, the easiest possible. So we gave them like a summary of the campaign, a little briefing. We gave them also the main message we want them to tell the world. So we wanted to be sure that once they met the children, they had clear in their minds also the message from the charity that we wanted to communicate. And I think when you watch the video, you see clear that their voices were telling the same story. Our investment, I think we also, of course, in most of, especially for the small charities, we have to be realistic about our budgets, because most of the time we don't have a huge budget to spend in these videos or campaigns. So I would like to say that we spent, of course, a budget. I mean, we had a cost, but we work with we try to work with filmmakers, photographs. Some of them, they were even volunteers or with low budgets. So I'm sure in other countries, you can also find like young filmmakers or passionate photographs photographers that maybe don't make it for, they will not make it for free, but maybe for a low budget. And they can create beautiful and amazing stuff like the ones you have watched. And also I wanted to say that if you don't have a budget for this, it's also possible to repeat it with your own patients, with their own smartphones, because hey, this is something really good that we're living nowadays. We have all smartphones there. They have a lot of free apps. If you ask your patients to record themselves, or you provide them with a message or speech that you want them to tell, that's the best story, I think, when they just share their voice. So if you don't have a budget, I would say start from the beginning. Start just telling your story from your patients and your families. I'm sure they are also superheroes like ours. And then about fundraising, I wanted also to be honest with all of you. This was one of the points most disappointing for ourselves, I would say, because we in our team of Debra, we were like so enthusiastic and so excited about working with celebrities that we thought, wow, I mean, if we show these 9 or 13 famous faces on TV that are working on behalf of the butterfly children families, many people would like to donate for sure. If they have like millions of fans on Instagram, then we will get like millions of euros or thousands of euros, and that didn't happen. Actually, to give you an idea, we spent it for the first video around 4,000. No, we spent like around 10,000 euros, and we fundraised just 4,000 euros. So actually, for us, it didn't work as a fundraising tool, but still, we think it was worthy because we reached a lot of people, a lot of new people, and the level of awareness of EB was increased a lot. So for us, it was still worthy, but I wanted to also to tell you this, because I think it's important that to have realistic expectations. I mean, not always is gonna be work with celebrities gonna give you a huge amount of fundraise. That's what happened with us. And also, I would like to mention that I think we failed also because we didn't ask the celebrities to make a clear call to action to the people. So when we look at the Instagram account of our actors and actresses, I and we read a lot of messages from their fans saying like, wow, you are amazing, Maggie, and we love you, I love you, you are a great actress, and you have a great heart, but they didn't do a donation. So a lot of fans were like, applauding and saying how much they liked their celebrity, but they didn't make a donation. So for the future campaigns, we want to improve this, and we would like to make it clear that the call to action in this case, for example, if we want this, is to make a donation, not only share the video or give a comment, in this case. So that is my presentation. I hope you like it. If you have any question, please let me know.
Thank you very much, Ana Maria.
Thank you.
You can stop sharing your screen, please. Okay. All right. So I think that we had a really good session. We are having a really good session so far with the different case studies from our speakers. And yeah, I mean, Ana Maria's videos, they were also like really, really powerful. So I think that we have quite a few questions for the different speakers. So I don't know, Marta, do you want to moderate this part?
Yeah, definitely. The first question that has been upvoted a lot by some of the participants of the webinar, I think it's quite general but very interesting because I believe many of the participants in the webinar are in the same situation. And the question is the following: we are quite small and have never worked with celebrities. Should we have a budget for it, or is it realistically possible to have their support for free? I don't know if any of the panelists would like to share their opinion or experience with this.
I think that, well, I'm not one of the panelists. I think that Ana Maria has touched a bit on it, saying that they managed in Debra to work with some of these Spanish A-list stars for free, but of course there are other costs to it, because one thing is to have the famous person, but then you were saying about the actual video, the photographers, so all those things. So overall, how was the experience in terms of how realistic with zero budget would that be possible, or you need to always have something in the bucket? What do you think?
Are you asking to me?
Yeah, and we can all chip in.
Yeah, I think a video like that one that is at the end is professional is being made by professional filmmakers. It's true, couldn't be done by zero budget, maybe, but I will try to begin with something easier and more simple, as I said, like with just recording and filming with videos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think just to add as well, I think it really depends on your campaign and who you want to be working with. I think if the celebrity, for example, feels really passionately about the subject and the topic, then quite often, you know, I've worked in on campaigns where they'll offer to do it as a pro bono, and there's no fees associated. I guess what you need to factor in, as per what Ana Maria's flagged, is staff time to work on the campaign itself, and the investment as an organisation from a staffing perspective, but also having some allowance for costs. Again, quite often a lot of the suppliers have good connections. So if you know one supplier who is a filmmaker, then they might know someone who is good with digital content and so on. So you can build those connections and hopefully get a well-rounded group of suppliers who can support your cause or do it at a more cost-effective figure.
Yeah, we've had to add to that. We've had and Lara Chappell, our communications director, is here today, and if you'd like to write to her afterwards, we'll share her email address in the chat. Thanks to Lara, we've had a lot of success in that context. Not so much on the influence and celebrity, more for the video making. So reaching out to marketing agencies who are willing to offer their services pro bono, and like you just said, exactly, they then had a link to a really good production company who work at a reduced rate, because obviously they work a lot with that marketing agency. So that building that network has been very productive for us as well. And I would say, just coming back to I imagine the question is coming from this, you know, everybody wants to do this, and probably management is saying this is a great idea, let's get influencers, let's do it, everyone's doing it. And so there's perhaps a certain pressure to do it, and if you don't have budget, if there's no question of requesting budget or getting budget, then the micro influencers can be a good path for that, because you can try to do it with minimal resources internally, I would say. That being said, I think you still need somebody a bit social media savvy on the team. to kind of get the ball rolling and keep the ball rolling, in fact. But that could be an option for you. But like Anna Maria has showed this fantastic example, if you can reach somebody that has that much bigger reach, of course that's the ideal situation. But I think that's not to say that that's the only option if you don't think you have the resources to do that as well.
Thank you, Eva. We'll move to the next group of questions. I see that we have a few questions about the agreement or the contract, so I'll try to gather them all together and we can spend a few minutes discussing that. So the first question is regarding agreements. Is there any possibility to share a general template with the participants or even specific forms of agreements? I don't know if there's such a thing online or if the speakers would be willing to share a few examples of agreements with the participant. We would be happy to send them along with the recording afterwards.
Yeah, because I think that both in today's session and in the e-learning course, we mentioned a couple of times that it's very important to have an agreement with the celebrities that we are going to be working with. But I guess that they are asking for some templates, something that they can see as a guide. So I don't know if maybe Gertrude and Elise, if you might be able to have a look at something like that, we can also check with Eva. But yeah, so if you want to say something about it, feel free to do so.
Absolutely. I can just quickly jump in. We certainly have a number of contracts, and to touch on your points, someone's question around the legality of it, we would always suggest it gets looked over and just checked from a legal perspective as well, just to ensure you're covered in all eventualities. But we can certainly dig out a couple of templates and circulate them for use.
Cool.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and then another question about the contract is, do we need a lawyer for the contract?
I think quite often from my experiences is that normally like the contracts are shared with the finance team as well, and then the finance team can sometimes escalate it. If you already have an in-house legal team, then that's great, but quite often if you don't, then recommend you liaise with your finance team as well, who will have experience in this area when it comes to agreements.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Maria has a question about the first step that an organization has to take in order to reach out to a celebrity influencer, like the very first step, the very first thing that they should do if they have zero experience on this topic.
Yeah, I think what we mentioned earlier was if you're starting right from the beginning, so you haven't even, you're starting right from scratch. I think we've talked about this a few times, is look at what the objectives are for the celebrity endorsement, like really be really clear and have a team session if you need to on who are the audiences that you want to reach. And because essentially you want to work with someone who can, that your audience can relate to. What messages do you want your celebrity to communicate? How are they going to help support your cause? And what's the call to action? I think that's the very first step we recommend doing. And then after that, as per Elise had walked you through, you then go into researching a relevant celebrity, aligning internally on that choice, and who potentially might have a contact already with that celebrity or their agent, or might have worked with them already. And then you then agree on how you actually approach them, which is either going to be driven by someone in your organization if they already know them, or if no one does know them, then as we've mentioned, recommend you that you go through an agent or their manager.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you. Next question is from Carolina. Is it better to change the celebrity every year or keep it over time?
I think, again, this really depends on your campaign. I think if it's a one-off campaign that you're looking for fundraising efforts, for example, and that's the rationale for working with that celebrity, then yes. But if you're looking to develop a campaign that's going to drive sustained change in your area, and you want things to change in the future, then we'd recommend that you look at exploring a longer term partnership with the celebrity. But I guess from a contract perspective, Normally the agreements with celebrities are project based, but I think if you're looking to work on a campaign that is going to be a movement or change care or treatment for your area, then absolutely look at this as a long-term campaign.
Yeah, I would just add, absolutely what Gerda just said. If you can build something long-term, that is better for the trust factor. Some people kind of question the use of celebs and influencers, especially if you're using hashtag ad or anything like that around content. So a long kind of form relationship will help really kind of cement the relationship between yourself and that celebrity, and people will then kind of join the journey with you a bit more and kind of trust in that content that they're sharing. So we would push for that if possible.
Yeah, and I'd add to that as well. We from an internal point of view, in terms of the resources it's going to take you to build that relationship, I think it's much more resourceful to maintain that relationship rather than to try to start from scratch. Of course, if you get a new lead, like we've talked about, these personal links, if something comes through, then go for it. But I think that we know, for example, some of you in France will know that FM Téléthon, who have like new celebrity sponsors every year, they have a big team working on that. So to be able to keep that turnover of celebrities, I think it's good to keep in mind that takes a lot of work as well. So if you can nurture a relationship, I think it's likely. And I think the good thing nowadays is we can be more flexible, because the truth is events are going to be online and everything's online. We can try to build, and this is something we'll be looking to do, and making things more flexible for the celebrities so that they can get more easily involved as well.
Great, thank you. The next question is about Instagram or Twitter. Which one is better than the other, I guess, to reach out to influencers on social media? What's your experience?
I mean, I think Eva touched on this in the chat function as well. I think it very much depends on, again, going back to your objective, but also who you're reaching out to and where your presence is as an organization. If you have a strong community on Twitter, then kind of using that channel to reach out and use that as a platform to communicate would make sense. But to Eva's point, a lot of influencers can be found on Instagram. It's really strong channel for storytelling. Using content such as photography or videos as well. So, a balance will be using both. Twitter is very good for conversations and outreach. Instagram is very good for kind of amplifying that content and messaging, I would say.
Good. The next question is for Eva. How did EURORDIS reach out to Sean Hepburn? Through an agent, friend of a friend, social media?
So it was through a connection through one of our member organisations, so it's that personal link again that often pays off. And again, I mentioned that we were in contact with a couple of other agents, which unfortunately didn't come to fruition, but we did build a couple of very strong relationships, and that was through our network as well, through different various contacts as well in our network. So, but I thought it was really interesting what Anna Maria said about having your member of staff who was an actress before. If we could all aim for that, let's all get actresses on our staff then. That would be good.
Yeah, and the last questions are about the Debra's videos.
Yeah, I think they are all about the same, and we have already explained a bit. So if you want, Ana Maria, you can repeat a bit, but all of the next 5 questions, unless Claudia, Elena, Amanda, Fionuala, if you want to clarify your questions in the comment, but in the comment window, but I think they are all about the time spent, the budget, the companies that you may have used, which I think that you already explained, but if there is something that maybe we missed, feel free to add it.
Yes. Should I say here?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, about the cost of the video, I said the cost of the whole campaign. So that included also the agency which we work with. So the first one was like 4,000 euros, and the second one, 10,000 euros, and the second one was nearly 20,000 euros. But that included everything, like Facebook ads, the agency, the video recording, the graphic designing, the website, everything. about did we employ a company to make the videos? We actually work with, how do you say, freelance, like young filmmakers and photographers like that work independently, and then they create like a team. But actually it wasn't a company. I think if it had been a company, it would have been even more expensive, I think. How many times did it take? We were working during several months, like the whole summer. I remember my colleagues in Madrid were recording in summertime. Yeah, so like 4 or 5 months at least, I would say. Celebrities have been more
Yeah.
I think that that's horrible.
Yeah, I think okay. So that was really good also to understand the scope of the time frame that you were working on this campaign, because yes, of course, the result is very impressive. I think that it's good to know that it took months to get there. It's not something that was done, in just a few weeks' time.
Yeah, and also I would like to mention that, for example, for our charities, it would have been impossible to, if we compare the coverage that we had in the media, for example, we would not be able to pay that coverage. Never ever, like this prime time on a TV, national TV channel, we wouldn't be possible to pay that for that. So if you compare the cost, for us was absolutely crazy.
And we had the same with Sean Hepburn. Farah was, he was very attractive, let's say, for interviews, and he was on Belgian national TV as well, talking about Rare Disease Day. So that was hugely valuable.
Right, and I think that the last question that we have in the list, unless somebody else adds a new one, I think it might be more for Eva, because I know that you said that politicians, they are themselves also like influencers, but it seems that, well, I don't know, Paula, what kind of organization you are working with, but from her experience, maybe they were not as effective as working with other kind of celebrities. Do you think that's been the case as well for EURORDIS, or for us has been?
I guess it again depends on what your objective is. A lot of, for Rare Disease Day, a lot of it is raising awareness. So we found that they've been very useful, particularly perhaps in the context of what EURORDIS, obviously Rare Disease Day is very much an international campaign, but then EURORDIS does a lot of kind of activity in Brussels and around Brussels and our events in Brussels. So they're definitely very useful in that context. So I think it's just, I'd be interested to hear from Paolo why you found that, but I think it's adapting it. And of course you need to be careful to associate with the right types of politicians. So you have to be wary of that as well.
Yes, I think, that's a very good point, Eva. So yeah, it depends what kind of politician you. And actually, that reminds me that in the online course that we have, Gergit and Elise, they mentioned that it can be a tricky situation where maybe you work with a celebrity or influencer, and then that celebrity appears in some kind of a scandal or something, and then of course maybe you don't want to have your organization linked to that celebrity. So that's a tricky situation. So I guess how would you address that, do you think, Gergit or Elise? Because of course we cannot foresee what that celebrity might do in the future.
Yeah, I think it goes back to, I think firstly, when you are looking at the celebrity that you are looking to potentially work with, do background research on them. Like, have they done anything controversial in the past? They need to be the right fit for your organization. So I'd suggest doing that from the outset, but also, just seeing what the news and the reporting is around their personal life. And I think if it does get into something that's quite controversial, then as per the course and what we've talked through today, having a plan B and having a team on standby for PR and issues management support, and assessing what you want to be doing in terms of a reactive statement, a proactive statement, versus what you want to do long term with the celebrity, depending on what happens.
Great. Okay, so well, I was just reading the Q&A because Paula clarified a bit about the politician. Okay, yeah, it's interesting opinion about, I guess,
yes, yeah, of course, Paula, that makes sense. So,
yeah, it depends on
so
your.
being careful to select the ones that are going to not deter people from your cause, for sure.
Perfect. Okay, so I think that we can share the last slides that we have for today's session. Basically, just so you know that I think that most of you have already ticked the option to receive more information and news in terms of new material that we are going to be developing in the coming months. So for today, you will receive the webinar recording, also the link to download the slides, and another link to complete the feedback that we've been posting it on the comments, but you will receive all that together nicely in one email. Feel free to go to the Open Academy website and initially browse the digital school section, because at the moment we have there the 2 interactive modules, and there should be a third one coming before the end of the year. That's the most likely. So we should have another one there, and then we are going to be working in the coming months for new stuff for 2021. I don't want to mention yet the specific topics, but they are going to be all about digital social media. And I think that maybe there is something about the use of video, as well as Ana Maria mentioned that nowadays we have access to smartphones. So yeah, how to use those for your digital campaigns. And I think that, yeah, with this, I just want to thank all the speakers today: Eva, Ana Maria, Gergit, and Elise from Three Monkeys Zeno. And of course, yes, Marta, if you want to also say something now that we are reaching the end of today's session.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank the panelists as well, and also to mention all those participants that have been with us throughout the 3 webinars that we've done this year. And I hope that you join us also next year.
Perfect. So yes, we have finished a bit earlier than the 2 hours that we had initially scheduled, which is good. So that way we can continue with our things for the rest of the day or evening or morning, wherever you might be in the globe. But it's great to be together in this global rare disease community. And hopefully we'll see you soon in the next webinar. Thank you very much for your time today. Hopefully you enjoy, and see you soon. Take care.
Everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.